Hi, I'm Katharine Allen from Interpret America, and this is InterpreTIPS, where we answer your questions about the interpreting profession. Today's question comes to us from a medical interpreter in Oregon who interprets on-site and over the phone, and who needs help for a common problem in telephone interpreting. He asks, can you provide strategies for how to handle it when the provider and LEP patient are handing a single telephone handset back and forth between them? He correctly points out that these kinds of calls come with their own sets of challenges and cannot be treated as just another consecutive interpreting encounter. Unfortunately, the situation described here happens way too often, and it does require the interpreter adapt interpreting protocols and mediation strategies to the situation. So when the provider and patient are passing a handset back and forth, the professional introduction, turn taking, the consistent use of first person, mediation, and even maintaining full accuracy and transparency get way more complicated. Anyone who has had to interpret this way knows it's a bit like using walkie-talkies, when each speaker has to say, "over," every time they are done speaking, so the next person knows it's their turn. When interpreting, this process can be very awkward and lead to omissions, side conversations, and confusion about what has or has not been interpreted. To be successful, interpreters have to add many small non-interpreted statements into the communication to let the patient and provider know when to speak, when to listen, and when to pass the phone. Interpreters should feel confident in being more assertive in this situation than they might normally be in a face-to-face interaction where they can use body language and visual cues to manage turn-taking more subtly. Now, the best strategy is to negotiate the communication process during your professional introduction. First, find out at the beginning of the call if the patient and provider will be using a single handset. If the telephonic operator can't tell you, then add the question to your professional introduction. You can say, as the interpreter, can you please tell me what kind of phone system you're using for this call? A single handset, a dual handset, or a speakerphone? If they say they're using a single handset, then provide guidance for how to use the handset during the call. Yes, this will take time, but it will make the communication much smoother for the rest of the session. Ask the provider to let you know when he or she is done asking a question or providing information and is ready to hand the phone to the patient. Say you will first interpret what was said and then wait for a response before giving the signal to pass the handset again. And ask the provider not to engage in side conversations with the patient. And finally, say that if you need to ask for repetition or clarification of a term, that you will do so first with the person you are speaking to and then report it to the other person when the handset is passed. You will interpret everything that is said, even if it may seem like you're having a side conversation. Then say, please give the patient the handset so I can repeat this guidance, and then I will ask the patient to hand it back to you so the session can begin. Is this time-consuming? Cumbersome? Will the provider likely be frustrated? Probably yes. However, there's no way to avoid that reality. As the interpreter, it is your job to make sure you can accurately and completely facilitate the conversation between the parties. You cannot change the technology they are using to bring in the interpreter, but you can and should be proactive and set the stage for a smoother, more professional interaction. Hopefully, in the end, they will be grateful for your guidance. So I hope these suggestions are helpful. We'd love to hear about the strategies that have worked best for you. And that's it for now. I'll see you soon for another InterpreTIPS.